Hello, my name is Dean Contover. This is the Current Buzz. Thank you for watching today. Today we have Dr. Lane in our midst. He's the superintendent of Chelmsford schools. What happened is Chelmsford schools are changing, and I'll tell you what's happening. The 7th and 8th grade are going over to the Parker Middle School, and the 5th and 6th grade are going to the Parker, right?
7th and 8th grade are going to be all at McCarthy.
McCarthy, I'm sorry.
And 5th and 6th are going to be all at Parker.
Okay, they're going to be at Parker. That's the new thing that's happening in the Chelmsford school system, in case you don't know it. So Dr. Lane is going to talk about it, and I don't know how it started, why they're doing that, but he's going to explain it to us. Thank you for coming today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me. I always appreciate coming.
Yeah. So what's the ideal on that? Whose idea was it? And now it's going in September of 2023. It's going to be implemented.
Correct. Yeah, so approximately a year and a half ago at this point, we started taking a look at the configuration of the schools, taking a look at our enrollment in the buildings, also the different programming we had between the two middle schools in town. Parker and McCarthy both currently operate as grade 5 to 8 schools, and half the town goes to each school based on geography. But when we were doing some of our work with our strategic planning in the district, and also Durham Whittier was a group we had in to do a facilities assessment, one of the things that both groups pointed out to us is some of the inequities between the programming at the two schools, some duplication of effort because the two schools were split like that. And they both suggested we actually look at a different configuration of our grades, and it actually really ties into our kind of master plan with regard to our facilities replacement that we would like to do someday. So we started talking to staff and students and parents in the spring of '22 around this possibility, and really received some very good feedback about this particular move. So we decided to move forward with it. It also aligns with our building project that we're trying to advance with the Mass School Building Authority. We'd love to do a new school in town. And
what kind of school?
Well, that was part of the original problem. We were originally applying for a high school, and we just weren't getting any traction. A lot because our existing high school is in very good shape and it's been very well maintained, and it just isn't as competitive in the application process because it's going up against much older high schools. So we decided to shift focus and actually look at a new middle school project for town. But one of the things that we wanted to do, we also have enrollment issues still at the elementary school level because we do have a lot of growth in town as far as our student enrollment's concerned.
Oh, wow.
And even though we added the 22 modular classrooms just back in 2016-17, we're almost reaching capacity again at our elementary school level. So what I would love to do is eventually, we've applied for a new middle school project in town using Parker as the school. If we're able to advance that project with the state, instead of building just a new 5-6 to replace Parker Middle School, I'd love to consider doing a new grade 4, 5, 6. And what that would allow us to do is basically take a grade level out of the elementary schools up into the new building. Grade 4, 5, and 6 are still very age appropriate as far as the grouping of the students and their educational needs and whatnot.
Right.
And then all students in town would also benefit from it. So if we left our existing configuration together now when we built a new middle school, either Parker or either McCarthy would have a new school, but half the town wouldn't benefit. By doing this a realignment and then also applying for a new middle school project, whether it was a 4, 5, 6, or even if it was a 6, 7, 8, whatever the configuration would be, all kids in town would ultimately go through that building throughout their career and benefit from the new space. So it really kind of, was multifold. But one of the issues was equity and making sure that we actually provide an equitable program between both schools. But we did definitely have an idea on like the future. And if we did a new school building project, what would be the best to help us being competitive in our application, and also in the end provide us with a new facility, taking care of the most kids, and doing this all in one project. I don't think we're going to have funding or support within town to build 2, 3, or 4 schools right in a row like some other communities are able to do. So what can we do with one project that we could really accomplish the most? And that middle school and potentially new grade 4, 5, 6 takes care of our enrollment issues at the elementary. It provides us with a new middle school for grades 4, 5, and 6. And then our students would go on to grades 7, 8 at McCarthy. And if you recall, McCarthy was the old high school. So it's still very much set up for that type of instruction.
Right.
The classrooms are a little bit larger. We do have science labs. And then the children would move on to high school at Chelmsford High School.
Oh.
So that was part of the reason. But we are moving forward with it in the fall.
Okay.
All grade 5 and 6 kids in town are going to attend Parker, and all grade 7 and 8 kids in town are going to attend McCarthy Middle School.
Okay, the question I have, where would the new high school be located, or middle school be located?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
So we're not far enough down the line. When you work with the state to try to advance a project, they would actually like to perform a feasibility study with you and take a look at available land within town where you could build it. I'm sure there are a number of different possibilities, but typically what would happen is you would build a new school and then you would tear down and demolish the old school. So you're kind of taking up some green space, but in the end you're turning back green space.
I see.
But we would have to work with the state.
And that would be the Parker School that we would...
So the Parker School is the school that we submitted as our application. It allows us a little bit more competitive of an application than McCarthy would have. And ultimately, if we were going to remove one of the two schools, McCarthy has more use to us from an educational standpoint than Parker did. So Parker would be the school to go.
The Parker Middle School was named after Lieutenant Moses Parker. He was wounded at the Battle of Bunker Hill. And when I traveled, Jay, I would tell people that my daughter went to a school named after Minutemen. They thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
You know, and especially when you're out in the Midwest or the West and you say, oh, yeah, she's going to school at Minuteman. Was that?
Right.
So I hope we keep the name.
Yeah, so we're not
possible.
changing the name. So
Okay,
there's never been a discussion about changing names, just changing the grade configurations
Right.
within the buildings.
Right.
So the names are going to remain.
If they, I'm talking about in regards to new building, we keep the same name.
It's typical that happens, is that, you would normally only name a school with a brand new name if it was an additional building. But once a building's actually been named and there's a replica or a replacement, usually the name carries forward.
I see.
So there's really been no discussion about changing the name.
Okay.
So I would see that name going on with the new school.
What about remote and hybrid learning? COVID was implemented,
tough.
so
Yeah.
what's happening there now? I mean, COVID is allegedly over.
Yes, our staff and students did a great job, through COVID. It was a very challenging and
It
difficult
was.
time
I mean, I know
for
some of the
everyone.
teachers.
Yeah, we had moved from, full in-class instruction to, we actually had to, in the spring of 20, from March 13th right until the end of June, we were physically fully out of school. And then that following school year, 2021, again, most of it was remote. We had students get reintegrated back into school, so we had hybrid learning taking place. So we had some kids at home while other kids were in school, and that was very challenging. I think last year was the first time we kind of got back to a more semblance of what school looked like. However, for the bulk of the year, we actually still had masks and we had some pretty significant distancing protocols, so it still wasn't 100% feeling like a traditional school year. I'd say this school year, the one that we're concluding, the 22-23 school year, feels the most like a pre-pandemic school year. So we're 100% back in person. We don't have any virtual, remote, hybrid options anymore. So as a district, we're 100% back in schools. Masking is still optional, so we have some staff and students who may still elect to wear a mask, and they certainly can. That's their right and their ability to do so. And we have other students who don't. And I feel pretty good at this point, again, kind of post-pandemic. Our buildings are open fully. Our kids are participating in extracurricular activities and plays and theater and sports and whatnot. So we're really kind of getting back to normal.
How is absenteeism in the school system? Is it?
We're rebounding. We certainly still, the pandemic was tough.
Right.
Because again, you actually had half the kids at home when you had half the kids in school, so it was just very challenging on that front. This school year, our absenteeism overall is slightly higher than it was going into the pandemic, but I do think that we're doing a good job of re-engaging students and really kind of reconnecting them to their teachers and their student colleagues. So that's going to be something we continue to work on, but we're in a much better place this year than we had been over the last couple.
How is the ESL, and I know that you don't use that term anymore,
Sure.
in regards to non-English speaking children in the Chelmsford school, and how do you handle that these days?
Sure. So we do have a number of students who are classified as English language learners, ELL, in our schools. We have approximately 240 students right now where English is not their first language, and they've come to us from other countries and speak
Right.
different languages. I think at this point we have about 75 different languages, primary languages,
Wow.
that our students speak
No
in
kidding.
the home. So that's pretty significant. But our L students are educated right alongside our general ed students who only speak English. Their L designation provides them some additional support, some pull-out instruction specific to their background, where they're at language development-wise. But our L students are fully integrated in our regular classrooms. They just receive, again, those extra L supports from certified licensed teachers who are really working on the language development and language acquisition with that subset of students.
Does that hurt your MCAS? Do they have to take the MCAS, or are they exempt?
No, they certainly have to take the MCAS.
Okay.
I actually look at it as a positive because for all of our students, MCAS is certainly important, but
Right.
it provides us just a benchmark of data so that we can see where a student is, last spring compared to this spring, and you actually really see on the growth. I'm very concerned about our students growing
Okay.
as opposed to just an overall score. But our L students in particular, you'll really see some significant growth year over
I
year.
bet.
Because they're really just picking up to English.
Yeah.
They may have been formally educated in their home country in a different language, but as they pick up English, they already have that education base, knowledge base to build upon.
Let's talk about school safety. I want to ask you, I
Sure.
hate to talk about school safety in regards to when I was a kid in school. I mean, that wasn't even talked about.
Sure.
School safety and cameras and things like that. Are schools public areas, or are they where the public can't go into the schools? What's the status of that?
Yeah, we take school safety very seriously in the Chelmsford Public Schools. We have safety protocols and procedures that we follow. We actually recently engaged a firm to come in and take a look at our existing facilities, our video surveillance systems, our response protocols, just to make sure that we're up with times and doing everything that we possibly can to keep our staff and students safe. So we take that very seriously. During the school day, yes, the public schools are public buildings, but our buildings are locked down during the school day. So to enter, a building, you have to be there for a specific purpose, with a child within that particular building.
Okay.
You would have to present at the front door of the building and use our intercom system to
Right.
communicate with the office, the business that you have in the building. You would have to be buzzed in and go through a protocol at the gate to identify yourself, again, state your purpose, why you're there and whatnot. And it has to be something student specific. So our buildings are locked at all times during the school days.
Well, it's dangerous if somebody thinks it's a public area. That's why.
Right.
I just thought that.
No, and we have response protocols to work with that. Our police department's been fantastic. They've been a good partner with us in all of our planning and preparing and drilling when we do emergency drills, similar to like when you were in school and I was in school. We had a fire drill.
Yeah, that's right.
We also do practice other different scenarios.
We still have fire drills.
We do still have fire drills.
How many a year? Do we have one or two? Or?
Oh no, I think we do 3.
Oh, okay.
I believe we have 3 fire drills,
Oh,
maybe
okay,
even
cool.
4
Oh, wow.
over the course of the
Okay.
year. But a lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually integrate like a fire drill with another scenario
Oh,
within the
okay.
building. Because, the key to a fire drill is being able to safely get the students out of the schools. Well, there's other times when you'd also want to evacuate students from a building.
Right.
So we can kind of sometimes count those drills covering a couple of different factors.
In regards to evacuating a school, do you have an area where the children can meet at another school or a church or whatever?
Yeah, we do.
I don't want to say where, but I mean.
Yeah, and I can't.
Yeah.
But we have what we call rally points.
Okay,
so
rally-
that the
that's good.
schools know, if they do have to evacuate for, say, something in the building, there's a spot on the grounds where they might initially go to. If they had to really evacuate
Right.
further, there's another location that they can go. And then if it ever became necessary, we have a plan for reunification sites. So if we need to reunite
Right.
a student with a family,
Good.
that would all be done off-site. But no, we actually do spend a lot of time working on that to make sure that we have the most current policies, procedures, and plans available to us in
Yeah.
the event we ever needed to execute them.
It's too bad. that we
Yeah.
have to do that. That's my philosophy. College credits, when you came in, they didn't have a college credit program. Now you have it at Chelmsford High School. How's that going?
Sure. We have a couple of different things going on at the high school. We have a lot of
Okay.
exciting stuff at the high
All
school.
right, good.
One of them was dual enrollment, which we've talked about a little bit previously.
Yes.
Where students at the high school can take a class right at Chelmsford High School and receive credit at Chelmsford High School towards a high school graduation requirement, and at the same time, they're earning credit at Middlesex Community College towards an associate's degree, or credits that can be rolled into a bachelor's degree program if the child goes off to a four-year college. So the number of course offerings at the high school has been increasing over the last number of years. That's been very successful to us. And we also, over the last number of years, have been talking about putting together these innovation pathways that actually allow students, when they're in high school classes, to take some kind of prerequisites, some pre-college, pre-career classes, so that they kind of get a sense for like the real-world work experiences. And we're trying to line up some of our program to those particular pathways. Just a couple of weeks back, we actually hosted the governor and the secretary of education and the commissioner of education for a tour of Chelmsford High School to take a look at our innovations pathway programs, to talk about how it's really connecting kids with real life situations, and whether they graduate and go on to college or career or military, whatnot. Our kids have multiple options, and through high school, they're able to actually try a bunch of different things before they leave us. So that's been very successful.
In regards to your graduations from Chelmsford High School, do you have a survey of whether the children who graduated from Chelmsford High School have completed a 4 years degree, or what their plans are in 5 years? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, we do. I personally don't, but our high school, we have a whole college and career suite at the high school. There's an
Okay.
individual that runs it. And there's a system that our students use to help them apply to colleges, and it will help kind of track them once they get into college,
Oh,
and what
okay.
their, say, 4-year completion rate is, if some students needed to take a 5th year, or if they change subjects or whatnot. The colleges and the students do still talk to us after they graduate, so we're able to get some of that data to figure out, a Chelmsford High School student compared to another high school student, are they getting done in 4 years? Do they have the prerequisite courses and the knowledge base when they go on to college that they're able to take the classes right off the bat and not have to take a number of prerequisites
Right.
before moving along? So I don't personally have the knowledge right in front of me today, the information, but our college and career and guidance counselors at the high school do track that.
Since you've been superintendent, Jay,
Sure.
the school football, Chelmsford High School football has been doing very well.
Yep.
I think they were 8-4 last year.
We had I don't
Yeah,
remember the
yeah,
record off the
something
top of my
like that.
head. They had an excellent season last
And
year.
it seems like they're doing very well in the athletics. I keep track of that. And it seems like the athletic director is doing very well in motivating the coaches. And I don't know if he picks the coaches or whatever. But I think I read where Chelmsford just defeated or is in the state champ of something. I don't remember whether it was
Yes,
lacrosse.
we have a few different things going on. Dan Hart's our athletic director. He
That's
does a
right.
very nice
Yeah.
job with the managing our
He sure
sports
does.
programs. I have to say, across the board, our athletes have had a very good season. I think I actually was just looking at a tweet when I came in today. I believe it was our girls lacrosse team.
That's right.
They were the MVC champs. They
That's right.
won a big match last night, or a big game last night.
Yeah, that's what it
So,
was.
I think it was
Lacrosse.
girls lacrosse.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations
Yeah.
to them. And we have a lot of teams this spring. The boys lacrosse team is excellent as well.
That's true.
I know I was by the high school. Our tennis teams were playing well, and they're getting ready for their state tournament next week. So, no, there's a lot of good things happening with Chelmsford High School sports. And Dan, the AD, and Steve Murray, the principal at the high school, do a really nice job. What's really unique about Chelmsford High School is our sports program is excellent, but we also have as many kids that participate in after-school clubs and activities and music groups and theater groups. Our a cappella groups had another fantastic year. They just had a big event at the high school to spotlight some of their work for this year. So really, whatever your interest is, there's an opportunity at Chelmsford High School to really further that and to fully participate.
Yeah, I
in the
think
school
after
community.
school events are very important for a lot of children. I know there's some schools that don't have that, And I think after school, you meet new friends and you
Right.
participate
agree.
with that group of people. I said personnel, people
Right.
or children in that group, and they become lifelong friends in some
Sure.
cases. So, do you need substitutes?
Sure, we're always looking to hire good substitute
Okay.
teachers. I think from a staffing perspective, again, we're in a much better place now than during pandemic. Pandemic
Right,
times were very
right.
difficult, but we're kind of getting back to more normal. We're always looking to hire good day-to-day substitute teachers. Oftentimes, that's a pool. If someone's doing a really good job and we have a long-term situation, you might move into like a long-term teaching job. We have some people who like to be substitutes for just our support staff, so maybe to be like a paraprofessional or to work on our food and nutrition program. So we're always looking for good staff, and we advertise all of our jobs on the Chelmsford Public Schools website.
Okay.
So if anyone is ever looking for a job, they're advertised right on the website under Human Relations, and that's where, I'm sorry, either personnel or human resources.
Okay.
Is where it's advertised on the website.
How much do you pay substitutes these days? Do you know? I know. I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah, you're doing this
Yeah.
today. I want to say it's approximately $120 or $125 a day.
Wow, that's not
It's,
bad.
somewhere in that ballpark.
So some mothers at home who are educated can come in and take 1 or 2 days.
Mothers, fathers,
Yeah.
whoever might be home. That again, you just never know. Someone might be looking to supplement income.
Yeah.
They might just be available a couple of days a week. We have some people who might want to think if they like a career in education and they like to come on more full time and do that. But yes, it's open to really anyone. The application process is pretty succinct. If you go right to the website, you can apply, and you would come in and talk and meet with one of our HR professionals to talk about your experience, your ability, and whatnot, and try to see if we can employ you.
Chelmsford High School Chelmsford School System had problems with finances. How are the finances doing in the school? Is there still a fee for buses?
Yeah, finances, to be quite honest with you, are very strong.
Good.
We haven't had any financial issues over the last number of years. We've always had clean audits. At the end of the year, we've always finished in the black. We work very closely with the town side when we're closing our financial books and whatnot. We've been able to do a lot of extra capital purchasing and one-time purchasing with some of the extra revenues that we have in our budget. So from a financial standpoint, we're on really solid terms. We do have several areas. We have a busing fee, and we also have an athletic fee that just brings in a little bit of revenue
Right.
to offset some of the costs for operating those programs. So those do still exist, but we've actually cut down quite a bit on some of the other activity and user fees, so that cost is never a competition to someone wanting to participate.
Are we still teaching cursive in our Chelmsford school systems?
Yeah, this comes up from time to time.
Yeah, I know, that's why.
It's in 3rd or 4th grade, I forget which,
Yeah.
but the students actually do a lesson on cursive. I'll be quite honest with you, most kids these days are typing on their
Laptops.
Their laptops. But 3rd or 4th grade, there is a section where they learn cursive.
Oh.
At least to be able to sign their names on,
Okay.
on their checks and documents.
So laptops, every child has a laptop in the school system now.
We do. We actually implemented a one-on-one technology program pre-COVID, which thank God we did, because we needed the kids to have the materials with them during COVID. But every single student in the Chelmsford schools, grades 5 through 12, so as soon as they hit middle school, they get a district-issued laptop. And they keep that laptop for 4 years. If you come into 5th grade, you're going to keep it for middle school, and then when you go to high school, you get a new one. So every 4 years, we have a recycle,
Wow,
refresh
good for you,
program.
yeah.
And they can bring it home, they can bring it to school during the day, so everyone grade 5
What
to
happens
12.
if they lose it? What's the situation there?
We work individually.
Okay.
To be honest with you, we have not had a lot of theft, and we haven't had a lot of loss.
Oh, okay, good.
So we would work with the family on that. More often, it's something that's broken.
Yeah.
But we have contracts with repair groups that
Oh,
help
okay.
us. In grades K to 4, it's just very difficult for those students because of their size to be carrying the computers back and forth. So we have plenty of laptop carts in the buildings,
I see.
and each teacher can just wheel a cart into their classroom whenever they need the kids to use technology. So that's the one group where they have technically a device, but we leave it at school. We don't have them travel back and forth with it.
Yeah, I hate to say this,